buddy. Hello. Welcome into the PHNX Rising podcast. Appreciate everyone joining us here on a Thursday. This is now 3 pods in a row, folks. We're going in back to back to back. As they say, I am, of course, Max Simpson and Owen Evans. I hear he might still be in North Carolina, so I am joined by Mr. Jake Anderson. How we doing, buddy?
I've been better, but how are you doing, sir?
Ooh, we're doing all right. We're kind of enjoying the rising victory, and it's just a lot to take in. Of boom, round of 16, here we come, all that good stuff. And yet, classic, we can't really enjoy the spoils for too long because, we got this Detroit City team that not only have they not lost at home all season, they haven't even dropped points at home. So it's going to be quite the task for Rising as they look ahead to Saturday. It's kind of a weird mix, man. How do you kind of process everything?
It's been a wild range of emotions in the last 24 hours. But from a Rising perspective, I mean, the good thing is Detroit played 120. Granted, it was the day before. It was Tuesday. They have the extra day. But still, heavy legs that have run a little extra than maybe they were expecting to. Both teams are coming off highs. I mean, I don't expect them to win this game anyway. A point, I think, would be a great result. So, I mean, I think you're just playing at house money at this point for the rest of this road trip anyway.
Yeah, 100%. It's definitely hard to do the kind of in such a short week, albeit on the road. You're Rising, staying away from Phoenix to kind of help with the travel and everything like that. But shout out to chat. You guys are here on a Thursday, third day in a row. Everyone saying what's up. Albert in the chat, him and Reese just talking some nonsense per usual. Jake, actually, very important to address. There was a very pivotal loss today in a European knockout competition. I'm sorry, we got to address it. It was honestly kind of sad, kind of embarrassing.
Roma didn't lose.
Aston Villa just absolutely just out, man. Oh my gosh. I mean, yes, at least saying nothing happening today, but that to me is the absolute headliner. So, I mean, I guess, Roma lost. It's okay. They beat a Leverkusen team that, listen, those guys, they're on another level. That's all one. But the story today, Aston Villa absolutely messing things up. I'm kind of sad, right? Really makes them a little bit harder for them to bottle fourth place. But, here we go. But, hey, man, no, all seriousness, chat, we're doing good in here. We appreciate everyone joining us. And Jake, yeah, I know it's going to be a tough day because of the Roma loss. It was valiant in there. But, hey, we move on. Let's talk a bit further about Phoenix Rising's victory against North Carolina last night. I know you didn't have a chance to join us on the post game. Before we kind of dive into some stats, some nerdy stuff, anything like that, I'll kind of kick it to you. What was your impression of that match?
I think they did exactly what we wanted to see them do. I mean, the lineup, when I saw Reiko in there, I was like, okay, we're going cup keeper.
Yeah.
Panos started. I wasn't expecting that. It was interesting to see Remy at top, but obviously with Darish having his child, he didn't make the trip, right? So it was just like, okay, some parts of it you were forced to play your best players, some parts you weren't, and then Rito got hurt in pregame, and
yeah,
the craziness going into that. But I thought they played well. I thought for being on the road, East Coast, I mean, I thought they took it to them. I mean, it wasn't like the goal they allowed was their fault either. Like that was, I don't want to call it fluky because it does take skill, but like that's one of those to where you do that 100 times. That's the only time it went in. Like that's the only time. Just to get that on frame, let alone where you can't even save it. But when that happened, I was like, okay, well. At one point, when Emmy had the ball at the top of the box, I was like, is this going to happen again? Like, is this really going to happen again? But he didn't shoot for whatever reason. But yeah, man, as soon as the going down to 9 men, I mean, that was the roller coaster of that game as well. Just with the Wykes, stupid. I mean, it's stupid yellows. Yeah. Paco Craig got his first yellow was dumb. Why are you mad at someone for celebrating a goal? Like, it's just dumb mistakes. Once it was 10-9 and Julio got the goal, you knew it was over. But it was just like they did exactly what we talked about on Tuesday, which was refreshing to see. And yeah, man, now you play with house money going forward in this competition, and you're looking at who's left. I think a USL team is going to win it this year.
Yeah, I mean it's not an unheard of thought at all. No, man, I think that's kind of what Owen and I were talking about yesterday. Of just the entire it was a you kind of look at like the ebbs and flows of the game, and if you're looking at stuff on a chart of like boom, where are the goals, boom, where are yellow cards, where are substitutions, like most of the times in most games, like okay, you can kind of see the flow where people kind of gain advantage, gain momentum. This match was all over the place yesterday, right? You have, to your point, some very unexpected changes due to the weather delay and everything like that. And then, I get it. Owen was kind of saying, hey, North Carolina did put up a bit of a fight in the first 10 minutes. I don't think it was anything really too much to write home about. And then Phoenix Rising score, within those first 10 minutes. Really, then they're kind of cruising in control. They then get Lawrence White double yellow with, we kind of, covered it ad nauseum. My word, just what a poor challenge. And, it's easy to say in hindsight, but even feeling it in real time, I wasn't really worried, or I wasn't like, oh my gosh, we're going to lose this game or blow this game. After North Carolina equalized to make it 1-1, it really was that stretch from after White got the double yellow, he sent off, we're playing down to 10 men, and you're thinking, we've seen this before. You can only hold this for so long. It was, oh goodness, what was it? It honestly reminded me a lot of, oh goodness, was it Sacramento at home last year, or San Antonio? I believe it was I could be wrong. Sacramento at home, where Rising, down 10 men and then score first, and then they held off pretty much until the death, and then the away team puts in 2 goals within the last 5 minutes. It kind of reminded me of that. I kind of thought that's what we were in for, but then boom, around the 40th minute, 10 on 10, and then
that
from
Open Cup last year.
No, that was it. No, that was in USL. That was in USL play. That was a bonkers match as well.
So they got a red against Sac as well in Open Cup.
Confirming it was San Antonio. Thank you, Lackey. No, it was right. That it was kind of thinking of that match. Is that where we're going to go down again? And no, once North Carolina got down to 10 men, okay, and then in going into extra time where they go down to 9, you just think it's chipping away the inevitable. Even if it's 10 on 10, it's easy to say in hindsight, yeah, worst case you play for penalties and you don't want that to happen, but you like Rising's chances. Again, there wasn't really a long stretch outside of that kind of 15 minutes when Rising was down the man that I felt this game was out of control. About the similar vibe for you?
Yeah, and before Julio scored, I tweeted it out, and the answer got with the goal. It didn't matter. They put Jose in, but I was going to wonder, with the last sub you have, at what point do you put Rocco in for Reiko? You have a penalty specialist, or do you leave him in? And, because that's going to do something to Reiko's confidence, obviously. But we've seen that done at the World Cup level. We saw that the Netherlands did that. I believe it was 2014 with Tony Krul. So,
oh, yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. No, and it's it kind of sets this, like, honestly, on the goal they scored. I get it. People are saying, hey, could he have done better? Possibly. I just don't think you're already getting anything on that. That's such an absurd angle. It's so crowded. Like the reaction
I don't think you're expecting it.
You're not even
expecting the ball to be coming at you by that angle.
That's exactly. You can't even react for it if it's in such an unnatural position. Like I don't know. I don't buy it. I just think that's one of those, like, hey, to your point, try that 100 times. That's the only time they're scoring that absurd type of goal. So then this kind of sets the scene. We're looking ahead into the Open Cup. I kind of like Reese's comment in here. I really like our odds versus Seattle, who Rising will be playing on the 22nd. They've struggled in the league so far and have a derby versus Vancouver the Saturday before, and then St. Louis the following Saturday. Listen, it's not absurd to think, and I've even seen some discourse on Twitter that everyone thinks, oh, you're playing MLS. That's a really big challenge. And it's not to write them off. But if you're thinking of the options between going to Seattle or going to Louisville, historically, right, it's been somewhat of a tough matchup for Rising, certainly by no cakewalk by any means. And while we don't know as much about Seattle, much more likely to play a quote-unquote reserve team, or we'll call what it is, the MLS vibe of maybe not taking it as seriously until we get to the very later stages. I don't hate Rising's chances in that round of 16 matchup.
No, I was rooting for Seattle for 2 reasons. A, for that exact reason, you're going to get, from what we've seen so far, you haven't been seeing. You might see one, I think Rodon played right back for Seattle against Louisville. But everyone else I pretty much didn't recognize. You saw the numbers that these kids were wearing, right? Like everything was like in the 40s, 50s, 70s. And then you had a 17U kid, right? US men's national under 17 kid playing in the shootout. And it's just like Rising could compete with that, right? And Rising should be able to beat these kids if they're actually kids that are out there. And then second part is, now that it's in Seattle, now we know that it's in Seattle, I'll be tagging along with Owen. So the two of us will be there. Rumors are that Max Simpson may or may not be making an appearance. Sources say.
You'll have to see. We're going to keep the anticipation going. But right, it's going to be a great matchup. And again, as we get closer to that, we will be previewing that match again. Phoenix Rising against the Seattle Sounders in the round of 16. Again, kind of how Rising got there. Again, you're looking at that matchup last night as I close my door because I think the AC is being a real something. Right, as you kind of look at how Rising got there in their matchup against North Carolina last night. You look at it on paper, they were equal in possession. They lost the XG battle. They lost the shots battle. They lost the chances creation battle. They lost the final third entry battle. They lost the field tilt overall in the first half and in the second half. But the key difference is it really didn't matter too much when you have a deeper bench, when you kind of wore the other team down, and when you go up a man pretty early on in extra time within that first half tilt. Rising absolutely dominated the entirety of extra time. A couple of the key player standouts, right? And I know Devenol is going to have an absolute field day with this one. Erickson Gallardo, 1 assist, 2 chances created, was 1 of 2 on his completed dribbles. JP Sears was a pretty good standout performer as well. 3 out of 4 tackles, 1. And then Mochare, a guy who, right, has really come back into form pretty solidly. 6 of 8 duels won all 3 of his tackles on a very reshuffled back line where, again, you saw Stenberg go the match. You saw Fuenmayor coming on for, Panos after White got sent off. Really shuffled back line. Mochare helped provide some of that solidity. Any other standouts from that match? It's easy to point to Azakar. It's easy to point to Julio. Anyone who we maybe haven't talked about who you really liked from last night?
Yeah, I think the biggest part of the first goal I thought was Panos and seeing how deep he came to receive the ball a lot of the time. I mean, he picked up that ball at the rising side of the center circle, got it up to, I believe, Fede, got it back, gave it to Gabby, then Gabby obviously brought it in. But then, Azakar had to run so much just because that's A, what he does, but B, he has to come back because you're down a man. Yeah. I thought his legs were going to snap by how much he was running. And then it's shitty because we didn't really get to see Reiko do anything. I think his biggest save of the night was the errant back pass from Julio, which I thought was going to be an equalizer.
Dude. Dear God.
My heart dropped. I was like, this can't be how we go to pens. But hey, that was a great challenge he put in there.
Yeah, 100%. And honestly, I like Kevin's chat in there. I mean, it sums it up pretty well. Racco showed some solid hands and cutting out crosses. Even if he's not facing a ton of these shots, he did what he was in front of him. He was a commanding force within that box. That's what you can ask for. Noah Neuer moments. That's any Bayern Munich fans out there. That's a tough shout. But yeah, I think it was a good performance overall. Again, we said it here, and I think you honestly said it in your, we said on Tuesday, your run through the brick wall speech. Phoenix Rising advanced for the first time in club history to the round 16, and they beat the team that they overwhelmingly should have. It wasn't always pretty, but they're, again, outside of a little 10, 15-minute stretch, they were the better team. They showed it, and they delivered.
And obviously, the first comment from a lot of people is, well, when you start in the round of 32, it's not that hard. Hey, that's the reward you got for winning the league. Like, you can only play the people in front of you. You can only play the schedule in front of you.
Yeah.
And you have a great opportunity now to like, imagine you beat Seattle. You're in the quarterfinals. At that point, it doesn't even matter who you're playing. And if you look at the lineups, and I'm curious as to when the MLS teams are going to start caring.
Yeah.
You look at the lineups that they're playing against the USL's clubs. Like, is anyone surprised New Mexico won against RSL? No, because RSL didn't play anybody.
Yeah.
Like, that was a game I thought maybe Kev Lambert might play. Oh, sorry. Kev's at San Antonio. What am I talking about?
I got you. No, you're chilling. It's one of those things. I mean, again, this is, and we'll probably get even further into it as we're discussing, the next round of 16 matchup. But this isn't anything new. Maybe good handful plus years ago, MLS teams give a lot more stock to the Open Cup. It's just really kind of been unfortunate how in recent years, you can call it what you want. Teams can say, "Oh, we take it seriously." Da da da. It's all about what you put out in the lineup. Plain and simple. You can say it's all about who you play. Yes, you have domestic competitions to worry about, but how you value your competitions is the simplest way how you value it. Who do you put out in your starting 11? Who's on your bench? And how do you kind of position your team to get the win or go for it, or if you're actually backing it up to do so?
Well, what I don't get from the MLS perspective is I'd understand if it was like a European league to where you need to finish first or in the top 4, whatever your goal is as a team. And so each game really does matter that much more. But it's like, unless you're going for the supporter shield, like as long as you get in the playoffs, I get their seeding and everything, but it's just like you play so many games in MLS. I feel like you can take the competition seriously. It's once every few weeks. It's one game. Like, I don't know. But from a Rising perspective, I think it helps. And like we were talking about on Tuesday, how there's going to be no one at the game because they play it's not even at Lumen Field.
Right.
So like the home field advantage is just going to be the fact that it's turf and the fact that they're used to playing on it and that it's their home weather, no travel, and they sleep in their own beds. Like, other than that, the crowd isn't going to be massive. Like, it's not going to be overwhelming. It's not going to be like SAC, right? Like, it's not a place that's going to be like the atmosphere on Saturday in Detroit for a day game, which is going to be kind of weird for how early it is up for us over here. That atmosphere is going to be way harder than when they go to Seattle.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, it's kind of one of those things. If I'm trying to like think like at what round do you think MLS is very much considering, okay, in the Open Cup, we'll put out a stronger team? To me, it's probably, the quarterfinals is probably where you're like, okay, let's now actually start taking this thing a little bit more seriously, reflecting that in the squad.
Either this round or the next round, I would say.
Yeah, that's
definitely at the latest, the quarters. But like you said, if they have important matches that they care more about, right? And if they're playing Vancouver before, they might care more about performing in that game. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, right, they might play the youngsters, right? It's the old adage of like, right, how many of the number, like, kid numbers, like the 90s or the 80s or, 69 or whatever, how many of them are named in there. But by the way, 69 is how much sense it costs to get a Polar Pop with our friends at Circle K through their Inner Circle program. Oh, yes, indeed. Circle K, right? They got the 69-cent Polar Pops because we're Inner Circle members. It's what we do. It's in our DNA. Let's go. It's right there, baby. Circle K, Inner Circle program. Boom. Download the Circle K app today. Opt into the Inner Circle program with just a phone number. It's that darn easy. You don't even have to put it out on the internet for everyone to get to. You just can very easily, discreetly put in the phone number in the Circle K app, in the Inner Circle program. Opt in for those 69-cent Polar Pops, and you get that now through September 3rd. It's that darn easy. Check it out. Again, Inner Circle program. If you haven't already done it, save 25 cents off per gallon for your first 5 fill-ups, all types of freebies, discounts, everything like that, purely just by being a member, which is already free. Check it out today. Again, Circle K program. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit circlek.com for more details. Also, check out our friends at OG's Brands. Again, we're kind of saying, I think yesterday's U.S. Open Cup was on OG's Brands. It was kind of high. It was kind of nuts. Sometimes, goodness, a little bit of the sativa kicking in, bam, the goals, the yellow cards, everything like that. Could have used a little bit of an indica to chill out. I think, hey, that's kind of what it felt like in extra time. Just a lot of tired legs. If you're needing some tired legs, because, hey, you want to take a little nap, take a little siesta, as they say, check out our friends at OG's Brands. They have the indicas. They have the sleepy time OGs. It's fantastic. They got the minis to the big OGs for all shapes and sizes, whatever you're craving. Of course, you must be 21 years or older to enjoy OGs responsibly, and check them out on all platforms at OG's Brands, and check them out online at ogsbrands.com. All righty. Yes. Seeing everyone in the chat. Yep, Siley in the chat. Atmosphere was dead in terms of game last year and everything like that. Albert in the chat, man, if we got into Complicated Cap Champions League, we would get destroyed, but the atmosphere would be electric, dude. Don't threaten me with a darn good time, Albert. I know exactly
That'd
where
be
you're
insanity, man.
Stop it. Oh my gosh, dude, that'd be absolutely bonkers. But guys, we can dwell on the Open Cup and get excited and everything like that. And I love where everyone's at in the chat. But again, quick memory, mind sharp, mind short. We got a match in 3 days, folks. Excuse me, 2 days. Goodness gracious. Wow, time flies. Friday, Saturday. Boom. 2 days. Saturday against Detroit City FC. And like we talked about as we opened the show, this Detroit side is not your mom's Detroit side, not your grandma's Detroit City side, where it's like, oh yeah, those guys, they're pushovers. What can they do? No. These this Detroit City team in 2024, they good, and they're not just they're decent on the points, they're unbeaten at home. No, like we're talking, they haven't lost at home, they haven't drawn at home because they've been winning at home. It's going to be a tough slate for Phoenix Rising, trying to get the job done. Jake, we're going to dive into the stats and all that fun, nerdy stuff, talking a bit about Detroit's Open Cup match. You had a hell of a banger in their own right. But first thought, what's your opinion on Detroit City?
Well, as I said Tuesday, and as you've been saying, they're a fortress at home when they're nowhere near the same team on the road, although they just went toe-to-toe with Houston.
Yeah.
Is there a phone call made to a particular Houston assistant coach on the opposition, perhaps? Who knows?
Oh.
Right? But, I mean, it's going to be a challenge. It's a team you're not familiar with, like you are with teams in the Western Conference. But they also could be a good thing. They're not familiar with you. They'll know your best players, but they won't know the way you want to manage the way that you saw against SAC. And I also think that's why Danny was so frustrated.
Yeah.
Because he felt like, okay, like I know we can do this because this is what Mark wants to do, and they just didn't get there. So I understand that frustration from Danny's standpoint. But like I said, it's a game you're not expected to win. I don't think they're always going to go in there confident, right? From a fan perspective, I think a point would be like if you told me a point right now, regardless of how the game went, I would take it, no questions asked.
Yep.
But we said the same thing about SAC, and it could be one of those to where it's 0-0 and maybe you had the opportunity to take the lead, or you went up 1-0 and then you give away a penalty or something to where they didn't necessarily earn the draw. Then obviously you get upset. But I don't think this is a game to where you go in and if you come out with nothing that you're going to feel disappointed. It's a good test, right? It's a short week. You're both going to be tired on a short week. But if there's any for a time to play them at home, this might be it.
I don't disagree with you, right? I mean, again, I agree on the optics of, hey, if all else being equal, you get a point from this match, that's a solid result. Not only knowing going away, right? That's, again, in a ideal world, you win your home games, you draw your away games. That's that formula, just tried and true. That's what best teams do in, these circumstances. Knowing that it's been a short week, that there's been a lot of travel to call it East Central Coast games, whatever it may have you. And then number 3, just how darn good this team has been, especially at home. I will take a point all day. And it's kind of trying to find the roadmap of how Phoenix Rising get there. Again, shout out to Mr. Statlacky Reese. He did dig up a bit of some stats from the Detroit's win in penalties against Houston Dynamo, again coached by assisted head coach. However, I don't know how you work that into like a verb with the assistant part in there, but you get what I'm saying. Juan Guerra on that Houston Dynamo staff. Assisted it, coach, whatever. You know what I'm trying to say. Yeah, Juan Guerra's on that coaching staff for Houston. Again, if you look at kind of the numbers in this, Detroit, well, they kind of lost the battle all over the darn place. Pretty wild for a 3-3 matchup. I'm going to run you through the numbers. They're actually kind of staggering. 36% possession for Detroit, 64 for Houston. XG, and note that Reese even put in an LMAO for this one, 0.36 XG. Again, on 3 goals scored, 0.36. That included a banger from like 40 yards. So, like, yeah, that'll do it. But 0.36 XG for Detroit, 1.82 for Houston. Shots on target, Detroit had half that Houston did. Shots, 9 shots for Detroit, 30 shots for Houston. Chances created, 5 for Detroit, 26 chances created for Dynamo. Houston had essentially double the final third entries. Field tilt, I'll give it to you this way. You can divide field tilt into multiple different ways. First half, second half, first period of extra time, second period of extra time. The most field tilt Detroit had in any one of those periods was 32%. They were outclassed in every single aspect of this match, and yet they win on penalties.
Except the one that matters.
Exactly. Now, they won on penalties, not 4-3, not like, 3-1, anything like that. No. 10-9. 10-9.
Who hit the winner?
In penalties. What's up?
And who hit the winner?
Well.
Wasn't it their goalkeeper?
Certainly was. It goes down to I know. Goes down to the keepers. It was just a bonkers game. But, it's one of those things, and this might be just like my own, this is kind of my own kind of theory concoction. Rising's the only team I've ever really seen that just proves this on a very consistent basis. But I feel if you come off an emotionally draining, kind of like high energy, wow type of game like that, there's very good potential to catch a team on the following week or the following matchup where it's like, okay, you just spent a lot of energy. You just spent a lot of resources. Detroit could be vulnerable. I'm going to throw that out there. Am I crazy? What are we thinking here?
No, I think that's exactly the mindset that you should go in. Like, this is the time to play Detroit. Like, they've played just as much as you. They're tired. Like you just said, emotional wins, especially if it's not another cup game to where you can play a pragmatic style of just survive. And this is regular season. They're going to want to win. They're at home. I feel like they play with the ball. They play football. Yes. I fully expect them to have more possession than Rising for sure. But that's where Rising's formation, wing play, counter-attacking style, I think can pay dividends, especially when Detroit's going to be pushing up. As long as Rising doesn't go down, I think they have an opportunity to come away with something. But I think the first goal will dictate how this goes. Because if Rising goes down, I think Detroit's too good at home to, when Rising has to push up, I think Detroit would be able to go through them at that point. Yeah,
absolutely. And here's the thing, right? I mean, again, this match goes 120 minutes like Phoenix Rising's matchup did. So, Detroit, wisely made all 6 of their subs, again, the extra sub within the Open Cup extra time format. There are 5 players that they ended up keeping on for all 120, right? The goalkeeper, okay, makes sense. Back line and a midfielder. So, right, you kind of have the back of that defense, whether we're going to see some rotation on Saturday or you even see one of those guys being run out. Either way, you're either going to see a bit of mismatch chemistry or you're going to see, some tired legs out there. And here's maybe I'm going to throw like a weird wrinkle into this. Think about Phoenix Rising, right? Just even comparing back lines. You have Detroit back line, played an entire 120, exhausted game, all that stuff, turn around. Phoenix Rising, outside of John Stenberg, you really think, and Mo Traore, of course, you really think about it. They have guys who can come off the bench, weird circumstance, right? Lawrence White, again, he's out for seemingly for the next Open Cup matchup, doesn't carry over into USL. That man can, in theory, play. He only played 24 minutes. Fuenmayor, he came on at halftime. He only played 60 minutes. So it's one of those things, in a weird sort of twist, Rising does have a luxury of a little bit more depth within that back line. Is that not for nothing? Do you think that plays a factor here?
No, I think that's what we're going to see. Who has the depth between these two teams? Because that's what happens with these midweek games and the 3 games in 8 days. Right. And then, as you said, White's fresh. So he
kind of weird, but yeah.
He hasn't been running for a while. So he'll probably start in John's place. I don't even expect to see John play at all.
I would not. Yeah.
Anyone who else played 120? Was it Renzo? Anyone who played 120, I don't expect to play at all. And if they do, a half or as a sub. There's just no way that I could see it. But this is the thing, man. Remy's gonna have to start. Who's? I don't think Darish is there. I can't confirm that, but I would be willing to guess he's not with them. So, Are you gonna have to play a false, with no true 9?
Yeah, I mean,
unless Remy can go the 90.
Sure.
I feel like his leg's gonna fall off.
I mean, here's the crazy thing. And yes, multiple players very much played the full 90. Not all of Rising's players naturally played the full 120. Again, even though they used all 6 subs, Phoenix Rising, they only had 4 players who actually played the full 120. And one of them being Rakovsky. You don't expect to see him against Detroit. You're talking about John Stenberg, Mo Traore, and Renzo Zambrano are the only guys who played a full 120. Doesn't leave Rising in the worst situation, again, just purely from a depth perspective, from knowing that even in those positions, you can change out a lot of the back line. While Renzo has been a stalwart within that midfield, you can bring in a Julio who can have a larger appearance, or even a JP Sears, or, other guys as well. Like, it's not the worst position when you're kind of looking at just who did Detroit play and who kind of played that full 120, who could be exhausted, who Rising played, who could be exhausted. It shapes up pretty favorably for Rising in that aspect.
Who's going to be the third center back?
Ooh, oh boy. I mean,
I'm just looking at what the combination options, because obviously Ollie's going to start.
Yep.
So then John and Mo both played the entire game.
Yeah.
Did Marboy come on the trip?
That's the thing. I see.
I don't know who's on the trip.
Yeah, and that's honestly a good question. I see Kevin's chat in there. Pat Marboy needs more minutes. My thing is this: I think without a doubt, 2 of the 3, you got to go Wyke and you got to go Fuenmayer. Purely just from a minutes perspective, I'd be shocked if it's not at least those 2. Really, the third. I mean, yeah, if Pat Marboy is in there, you could. I mean, I don't see why it wouldn't be him. If not, you're going really young on the experience aspect, but you could even go JP. Can deputize back there. It's not the craziest thing. I don't know. Do we see Stenberg
half and half?
I was going to say, do we see Stenberg or Mo Traore start?
Damn, that's tough because they both have. I feel like John's healthier at this point.
Okay.
Right, but is he still truly 100? We don't know. And then Mo obviously had that little knock, but if he played the whole game, but you don't know if adrenaline got him over that, and then now you're kind of dealing with it. Yeah. You could also start Mo for 45, start John for 45, and then use a sub for the other 45. If you just want to, because that's the thing is that we don't know who's on this trip. Jose, we didn't even know was there until Rito got hurt.
Yeah,
right,
100%. Yeah,
we were like, oh no, Jose is not in the match day squad. Is he still hurt? And it's like, oh no, he's there. So it's just I guess we can ask Owen. He probably knows everyone that's there.
100%. And that's exactly it. Right, we don't fully know. The team knowing that they weren't coming home, you kind of prepare for, hey, there's going to be a lot of guys who weren't named within that squad, knowing that they could very well make an appearance on Saturday. And Kevin's comment actually transitions nicely. What kind of attack does Detroit have? Ground focus or lots of crosses? Well, I'll tell you this. I'm gonna task Stylac Reese, maybe drop in a comment or anything like that, any more additional info. But what we can tell you about Detroit, and this is strictly based off their USL play, 7 matches played again, 5 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss, 13 goals, 28 shots on target off of 82 total shots. Okay, so decent clip right there, give or take about a third of their shots are on target. Expected goals, they are overachieving their goals based off their expected. Chances created, 56. So, okay, pretty decent. Goals conceded, only 6. This is the key here. It's the least in USL. Expected goals conceded match up pretty darn nicely with it. They're winning a lot of tackles. They're winning a high percentage of their duels. They're not facing a ton of shots on target. In their 7 matches, they're only faced 21 shots on target. That's 3 shots on target per match. That's pretty darn good. And they're sitting around 50 for the possession battle. I think it's one of those things when you just see a Detroit side like this, even with the stats, knowing that the eye test kind of matches up with it, the defense is going to be the real key. And again, that's where I go back to. Their back line has got to be pretty darn toasted from that Open Cup matchup. I think that's, if something's going to happen, Phoenix Rising does have a chance to get a couple on the board here.
I'm looking at some stats right now, and specifically when it comes to distribution. So in USL Championship, Detroit has completed 18 successful crosses compared to Phoenix Rising's 21. Detroit has a 21% conversion percentage on that, while Phoenix has 17. So if you think about how many times Phoenix crosses the ball, Detroit is more efficient at them. Whipping the ball in, when I say crosses, rather than like playing a pullback, is what I'm talking about here. I don't think this is going to be an aerial attack. I think this is going to be, I'm just looking at the passing accuracy between the two. Rising's a better passing team by 6% at 83 to 77, but successful passes for Detroit is still in the thousands. They're 2 games back of Phoenix in terms of games played and 1,000 passes back. But based on the fact that they are both possession teams, like you get 1,000 passes in a game if you control a game. So I feel like their attacks are very, very similar. So I think this comes down to combination play or a mistake.
I completely agree with you, man. And it's like, it's one of those things, right? We can say that these two teams, right? Tired legs, everything like that. It's not like every single guy's tank is going to start exactly where the Open Cup ended. It's not like every single guy is going to, oh my gosh, their tank is down to like 60 and that's where they start. No, you get a bit of recovery, everything like that. But there is something to be said of like, you're going to see a lot of maybe mismatch chemistry on both sides. Again, I think especially on Detroit and within that back line. And guys may not be at 60%, but they may only be at 80. They may only be at like 85 or something like there. And that really could make a difference from what type of battle we're seeing, especially we may not see as many crosses. We may see more of that methodical, I don't want to say route one, but it's like, yeah, it's probably going to be more of like, let's try to break down possession and maybe less of these like lung busting sprints. That's not really much of Phoenix Rising's forte anyway. So again, this could play further into their advantage. We're going to have to wait and see for Saturday.
I'm just trying to see because I don't know Detroit. I don't really watch the Eastern Conference that much other than like Charleston and Louisville. So I'm trying to see the height of their forwards, just trying to figure out if they're big guys. They have a dude who's 6'2", Victor Becerra. He's a big guy. But then Alistair Coots, he's 5'8". So that's a little nice old school there, kind of like the big and the small guy playing off each other. But I expect it to be like a second striker, like legit old school number 10, like I like that. 2000, back when everyone ran a 4-4-2.
I love it. Right. 6'2", pretty tall, just like this beers that Four Peaks is serving up. Four Peaks, they got those tall boy beers in there. Nice, cold and frothy, just like we like them. Again, Four Peaks, they got their A Street Pub. They got the Bad Birdie Juicy Golden Ale. It's absolutely delicious. It's absolutely fantastic. Nice, refreshing after a wild Open Cup. That, boy, got to quench the thirst, got to kind of rehydrate with some beer. I'm not a doctor, but that might work. But yeah, check out Four Peaks again, A Street Pub. They have always delicious food, all fun events going on, everything like that. Check them out at Four Peaks Pub and at Four Peaks Brew to keep up with the latest and greatest going on for Arizona's hometown brewery. And of course, you must be 21 years or older to enjoy Four Peaks responsibly, as I close the door. Of course, shout out to friends of Valley Taproom. I'm not closing the door on Valley Taproom. Valley Taproom, they're good people. They got 2 locations in Queen Creek and in Gilbert. Right, great places to watch a match. Watch your next Open Cup match there. Watch a Phoenix Rising match there. They have the beer specials. They have the wine slushies. They, of course, serve Four Peaks there. It's a great place to kind of check out, right? Very small, very intimate. It's nice, right? We've done some watch parties there, do events. Gonna go back to Valley Taproom, but shout out my man Donald. Go check them out. Again, valleytaproom.com and on social at Valley Taproom. All right, Jakey boy, we have not done this yet. Chat, I'm going to ask for a participation because it's going to be a weird one. Score prediction, please.
I'm feeling positive. 1-1. I got the score right for the Open Cup. I botched when they were going to score. but I got the scoreline right.
We kind of, we kind of both did. You said 2-1, and I said 1-1. It goes to extra time. We both kind of missed some details there and there. But yeah. Okay, so we're adding high. But this is where we differ. So you say 1-1. I feel inclined to say more goals because of less defense, but I think it's just gonna be a lot of tired legs. Give me 1-0. Dude, I'm gonna say it. Phoenix Rising. Phoenix Rising with a 1-0
clean sheet on the road
darn
in
right,
Detroit.
dude. You're darn right.
You're gonna shut them out.
Yep.
You're gonna shut them out.
Yep.
You're gonna end their perfect run.
Bang.
At home.
Bang. That's right. Albert in the chat got 0-0. Okay.
I can see that as well. I can see 0-0.
I can see. I can very much see a 0. I can also see 1-1. Like, honestly, a 1-1 is a very fair score prediction. But I like 1-0. Siley is doubling up. Oh my gosh, wait, no, she's not. She had me in the first half, not gonna lie. She said 2-0 and Rising won't be winning. Okay, she's got Detroit. All right, let's see. Kevin saying they had a similar game plan. They had sack. Siley also saying I can't fake positivity. Yeah, after that stinker of a match and 2 legs. Yeah, I don't blame you. Okay, all right. So let's see. A lot of the chats keep them coming with those score predictions. Kind of just some housekeeping here. I'm seeing a couple questions and stuff in the chat. Kevin, though, did not score. Cabral's had his chances with the quick through balls. Absolutely. I mean, look, that he could very well be a factor. I'm very curious how much, if running and all the tired legs are going to make an impact. But again, especially against a possibly turned over Detroit line, look for that. And again, Kevin in the chat, is Julio the best suited to make those passes? Other mids seem to prefer the side-to-side passes. Oh, yeah, 100%. We've already I feel we very much kind of know who these midfielders are about. Jose Andres Hernandez is pretty side-to-side. Renzo, a little bit more progressive, and even within carrying the ball, I think he's actually improved quite a lot, even within this season. But if you're looking at that guy who's going to make those line-splitting passes, finding forward feet, it's definitely coming from Julio.
Yeah, I would say just given the experience of where Julio Panos and Fede have played, just from vision, awareness of where their teammates are and execution to get them the ball on a one touch, on a turn. Those three are the best on the team, bar none. I mean, Julio's been playing in Italy his entire life, right? Panos played all over Europe. Fede's played all over Europe at high level competitions against high level competitors. I love seeing Panos, Emmy, and Julio start together. I don't think Panos is going to start this game. And if he does, I don't know if he goes more than 60. But Rising's going to have changes themselves. So, and again, who knows? If you I expect Detroit to have the ball most of the time.
Yeah.
So I think Danny uses that to be a little bit more in defensive with his midfielders. So I would almost expect to see Jose and Renzo start, and Julio maybe comes in if it's needed, or just as some fresh legs.
Yeah, and here's the one thing, and I could be wrong. Don't know if he'd make the trip. And I'm listen. This might be all for naught. This comment. Darius Formella again was out yesterday. Birth of a child. Mazel tov. Congratulations. Does he make? Is there a possibility he makes the trip? Is that another option that they're able to have?
You hope.
Yeah.
You really hope that he somehow made the trip. But I mean, I can't speak to when mama's just had the baby. I don't know what the rules are there, if you're allowed to leave, or how long you got to give paternity leave for.
Hey, listen, man, I'm saying be with your kid, no problem at all. But I mean, ball's life. If he wants to do it, I'm not going to stop the man. But I'll power to him either way. Man, Chad, you've been awesome. Jakey, do we have anything else you want to get to before we wrap this shindig up?
Who starts at wingback?
Yeah.
It's one of those. It's just like, what's the status of Rito? Because if he can play,
it's got to be him.
Please. Yeah. But if he can't, I don't think Asgard can play a full 90.
Crazy. That's crazy.
No way in hell. So it's got to be Torres. Ryan Flood's going to have to probably play now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
not a crazy thing.
Both teams are going to be, like you said earlier, both teams are going to be rotated. The chemistry is going to be off. But hey, if both teams are playing through it, who knows? One mistake, dumb penalty, dumb yellows. I mean, anything can happen with these teams in this league.
You ain't wrong, man. Well, and that's a good spot to leave it on. Anything could happen in this league. How about a Phoenix Rising victory? Appreciate everyone joining us here on the PHNX Rising podcast. Of course, you can follow us at PHNX__Rising because double the underscore.
Double the fun.
Double the fun, my man. Strictly business. You can follow me on Twitter at Max David Simpson. You can follow Mr. Jake Anderson at JWA1994. You can follow Statlacky Reese on Twitter at Reese11_. Of course, you can follow Mr. Owen Evans, not able to be here, but he will be back for Saturday's matchup. Follow him on Twitter at OJEvans18. Of course, you guys can follow us on all PHNX platforms, right? Become a diehard if you haven't already. Go to gophnx.com. Become a member. It's awesome. Free merch. All kinds of discounts to our merch, events, fun stuff, hopping in the Discord, chatting it up. Game day, it's electric in there. It was crazy within our Discord, within the Open Cup chat. It was bonkers, as it usually is. So please consider becoming a diehard. Feel free to DM me or Owen with any questions, more information. Always happy to do that. And of course, let's shout out our great producer, Mr. Jacob Franklin. I think you can follow him somewhere on Twitter, but you can definitely... let's see. You can follow him in person at our golf tournament tomorrow. Dobson Ranch Golf Course. Again, if you have a ticket, fantastic. Go out there. If not, you might even still be able to sneak one in there. Again, go phnx.com, buy a ticket. Follow Jacob Franklin in person. It's not stalking if you buy a ticket. Boom. At our Dobson Ranch Golf Course tomorrow from approximately 7:30 to 3 p.m. I hear Jacob Franklin has a massive handicap. But, of course, appreciate everyone. It's the beautiful game, but it's way more beautiful when Phoenix Rising gets those points, baby. See you guys.
When you're ready to say cheers, don't forget Max is buying beers.
We all silly like the mayor.